All right, so at this point, the game has a plane object, a bullet object, which when it leaves the view destroys itself, and enemies who follow a path. The path is pretty basic. If I take a look at it, it has just a back and forth thing. So next I'd like to make it so that the enemy actually interacts with my plane. So to begin with, what I'm going to do is take the bullet object that I'm firing and have it hit the enemy. I'm actually going to create an explosion. It's going to be an animated explosion. So let me go do that first. So I'm going to create a new sprite. You may remember from last time how this works. You do edit sprite, file, create from strip. The one that I'm using in my game is on the desktop, readme, GameMaker1, sprite resources, all as strip. You can use whatever you like, but that's what I'm using for all these demonstrations. All right, I think I would like this series of sprites here that causes an explosion. There's actually 6 of them. And I could do create from strip, grab the first one, and then do add for the next 5, but I'm lazy and there's a faster way. So I'm going to grab all 6 of these at once. The way I'm going to do that is up here, number of images, 6. The images in a row is going to be 6, and then there's this pixel border in between each one, so I need to separate it by 1. So horizontal separation is the next thing. Notice that the boxes now line up. And if I hit OK, I grab all of them at once. That's awesome. And if you look at the preview, that's what it's going to look like. It's a little fast, but I can slow that down. All right, I need to erase that blue out of there. So I'm doing images, erase a color, grabbing that blue and erasing that. And I'd like to center this as well, since my enemy plane is centered. I should name this, let's see, well, we'll do explosion for now. I need to create an object for this, so I'm going to do that as well. Explosion object. It's going to have that sprite, which is animated, and away we go. So when the enemy has a collision with this bullet object, I need to do something. In particular, what I need to do is I need to add a collision event with my bullet. Now, since I'm already on a path, that actually causes me a small problem. When you're on a path, if you change into some other object, the path will move you to some unknown location. And so if I want this explosion to actually occur where the enemy was, I actually need to end the path and then change him into an explosion. So the first thing I'm going to do is end the path. That's this in move, this blue squiggly path with a red X through it. And then I need to change this guy into the explosion. So under main 1, there's this little blue object to red object. This is how you change this object, whatever this enemy 1 is, into some other object. So I want to change myself into an explosion. This perform events, this asks whether or not you want to do the create event in the new guy. It turns out we are going to want to do that, so I need to set this to be yes. I'm going to change the speed that the animation happens when it's first created, so yes, I do need to do this. Well, let's see what happens. Well, that kind of worked. 2 problems. One is the never-ending explosion. The second thing is that it's animating pretty fast, so I'd like to fix those 2 things. So in the explosion object itself, I need to add that create event I was talking about. And I need to change the animation speed. The way you do that is under main 1. There's a little Pac-Man icon on the left, change sprite. I'm going to drag that in. I'm actually going to set it to be exactly the same sprite, but I need to change the speed here. The subimage, by the way, is which animation frame it starts on. 0 is the default. We want to start at the beginning of the animation, so that's just fine. The speed, though, is too fast. You can put a number between 0 and 1 here. So if I want to animate it slower, I can do something like, say, 0.5, or 0.2, or 0.3, whatever you decide you like. The other thing I need to do if I want this to go away after it's done its complete animation is there's a special event called animation end I need to add in. So add an event, other, and towards the bottom is animation end. So once it goes through its entire cycle of pictures, this event fires after it does its last frame. And I'd like it to destroy itself. Much better. All right. So now I can fire at the enemy, but I'd like the enemy to actually fire back. So I need a bullet object for the enemy. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a sprite for that. I will call this e-bullet for enemy bullet, not electronic bullet. Edit sprite, create from strip. Let's see, enemy firing at me. I don't want 6 images, I just want 1. So I'm going to grab maybe this one here, this 2-bullet firing back at me. I'm going to erase the color and center this guy. Okay, so I've got a sprite for that, so now I need to create an object that goes with it and give it that sprite. Okay, so now the enemy needs to fire this thing. So how do you get an enemy to fire? Well, my plan with this particular enemy is I'm going to have it fire every second or so. So in GameMaker, it turns out that about every 30 steps is 1 second. That's what the speed number here represents. So I want my enemy, if it's going to fire every second, to set an alarm 30 steps into the future. So in the create event, under main 2, I'm going to set an alarm. You have a series of alarms you can set. I'm just going to use the first one, which is 0. And I set the alarm to 30. The alarm gets set to 30, and then every single step after that, it subtracts 1. So 30, 29, 28, 27, until it reaches 0. When it reaches 0, this alarm that I set fires an event that happens over here. So I'm going to add another event for alarm 0. So once it counts down to 0, this stuff happens, whatever this is. Well, I'm going to want it to fire again. Right now, setting this first alarm in the create only fires once. If I want it to fire again, I'm going to need to reset the alarm in here. This creates the infinite loop. And now I need to create one of the enemy bullets. So I'm going to create an enemy bullet. I'm going to just create it at the x and y of this enemy. So I can just type x and y, or self.x and self.y. Speed I want it to fire at, and going down the screen is 270. So 0 is right, 90 is up, 180 is left, 270 is down. By the way, if you use the name of the object enemy1.x and enemy1.y, because there's lots of enemies on the screen, what would happen is all of the enemies would fire their bullets out of whoever the first guy created was. So when you use the name of the object, it's the first one that was placed in the room. So if you had 20 planes in the room, all 20 would fire bullets out of the first guy. So that's not what we want. We want them to each fire their own bullets. So that's why I'm just using x and y here. Or self.x and self.y. Means the same thing. All right. What happens? Good. Wait. Ah, it's raining bullets. Perhaps when they are outside of my view, I should destroy these bullets, eh? Otherwise, they yield halo bullets. Let's see. E-bullet, much like my bullets, when this thing is outside the view, let's have it destroy itself so I don't get that. Much better.